If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Good morning, folks. I am Lindell K. This is Sergeant Rob Tender.
Yes, sir.
Did I get that right? I was so worried about getting your first name right, I screwed up the last name.
It's okay.
All right, so we are here this morning to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank you for coming in. You're
Yes,
here the second Thursday of every month,
Yes,
and
sir.
we appreciate that. And I know that you've got stuff going on, so taking your time out of your busy schedule to be here, we really do appreciate that. We've started something new where, I used to put the guest on in the second segment, but Brittany, who runs the control board, actually came up with a great idea of putting all y'all on first, letting you get what you got to say, so if you got to go somewhere or
Yes,
be
sir.
somewhere, you can do that. And that way we get the best stuff to the people.
Yes,
right
sir.
away. So we got a couple things we're going to talk about today, but you said that you wanted to that we had an update on the sex offender that was arrested in Florida.
Yes, sir, we do. I just wanted to thank the K-Files and also Fighting Crime. Having that on the show led to the direct arrest of one of my sex offenders who was in Tampa, Florida. He fled the state of North Carolina, and a person in Florida saw the K-Files when she Googled it and saw him and called and reported where his location was. He was arrested in Tampa. He is now awaiting extradition back to the state of North Carolina. So I want to thank you and Fighting Crime for helping get that out there.
That is it's just a good example of how the system works. And I keep telling people that someone watching the show, we're live right now. Someone watching it on TV may or may not know something or say something, but it repeats several times.
Yes, sir.
It's on the internet. It'll be put on YouTube. So there's a continued record of it. So like this lady down in Florida that Googled him and this came up. I mean, that's the whole plan. Is
Yes,
that when somebody wants to do something, that there's something here for them to do it with.
Yes, sir.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to talk to you a little bit about Mr. Gamble. If you can tell us a little bit about that case. We've talked about it before, but
Yes, sir. Mr. Gamble is on your screen right now, a picture of him. He, last month, he was killed. When I was on last show, I wasn't able to tell you cause of death, but now he's had an autopsy that's been released in his death certificate. He was shot. We are looking for any information. We've actually following up on some leads right now. We do have some video camera footage that we are going through right now, which hopefully will help us very much in determining the type of vehicle and the suspects in this case.
That's great. Folks, if you know anything, the number is 252-406-6736. Give us a call. We are offering up to $15,000 reward in that case. Mr. Gamble was well known and well liked in the area.
Yes, sir.
Sandra knew him personally. He lived in a pretty remote area.
Yes, sir.
I drove out there after we talked about it, or actually before we talked about it, after you put out the information, and I couldn't find that road that he lived off of. So definitely, I'm going to speculate that somebody, whoever killed him, knew where they were going, because it certainly couldn't have been a random thing. All right, so folks, if you know anything about Mr. Gamble, please give the tip line a call or call the sheriff's office and look for Sergeant Tinder. The way these tips are set up is, the information goes to that tip line. That information is relayed straight to the relevant law enforcement.
Yes.
I don't know what the tip. I'm not involved in the process. I don't know what the tips are. I don't know what the information is. The information is confidential, and all we're looking for is the information that y'all can use to follow up. That's right. And hopefully you can figure out something from that video footage, and we can.
That's what we're working on right now.
Absolutely. All right. So the other case, when we had our fundraiser, I can't believe that's been 3 months now. You were gracious enough to come in on a Saturday, and we had a live show.
Yes, sir.
And we talked about some things, and then I wanted to go back over some of that because I'm not sure that everybody got a chance to see that episode.
Right.
So we talked about the Melody Wiggins case.
Yes, sir.
And she was killed in 2005.
Yes, sir.
And so, kind of tell us what you can about that.
Miss Wiggins was found in a field. We had a lady and a man riding a golf cart in that area, and they stumbled upon her body that day. Sheriff's office was called. So we found 2 different scenes out there that day. Found a primary and then a secondary location. It was all in the field off of Old Mill Road, which is off of Nobles Mill Pond Road. This happened in May of 2005. I know it's been 16 years now, but we're still looking for information. We have a suspect in mind, but
oh, really?
It's hard to do proving anything with it.
That suspect's not Antoine Pittman.
No,
correct?
sir, it is not Antoine Pittman.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because Melody's case, I had to explain this a lot to people, and it seems like there's, when it comes to Mr. Pittman, for folks who don't know, who should be nobody watching this show, Mr. Pittman killed a lot of ladies back in the late 2000s.
Yes, sir.
He's in prison now for life for conviction in one of the cases.
Yes, sir.
And suspected in several other ones. There was the public opinion at the time that there was several cases that kind of got floated in his direction that he didn't have anything to do with. And when I say that, it's never, law enforcement never thought that, but the public kind of thought that, and it's kind of hard it's been hard over the years to unravel these cases from Antoine. And
yes, sir.
I did one with Denise Williams. I wrote about a lot. She was killed in 2003. I worked with Major Harrell.
Yes, sir.
About that case. And the thing is that people always ask me, well, why are you taking the trouble to try to tell people that this woman wasn't killed by this guy. And to me, it's like, if the public thinks that Melanie Wiggins was killed by Antoine Pittman, who's serving life in prison, then they think, well,
he's in custody at
right, yeah, exactly. But I think it's important for people to know that Melanie Wiggins was not killed by this man. And so if there's anything that they might know, a lot of times people know something that is really important to y'all, but they don't tell you because they think that it's not important.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do in this case, is let the public know that this is a separate case.
Yes, very separate.
And with a separate suspect who's still at large.
Yes, sir.
and still a danger to the community.
Right.
So that's what we want to do. So, and y'all have been really good with that. Sheriff Atkinson has been really good to me. The first thing that we ever talked about when he was appointed sheriff, before he was appointed sheriff, he said I know that you like unsolved murders, and I said, yes, sir. He said, well, we're going to do something about that. So, he has been very helpful to me, very wide open on these cases. I sat down with him and Major Hurl and talked about Denise Williams, and very sad case there. Dumped in the swamp, and
yes, sir,
and basically drowned. Her autopsy says she drowned. Whoever dumped her, that's a different case. I can talk about it later, but maybe they thought that she was already dead when they threw her in the water. But she drowned. She didn't.
She didn't die from what they thought she
right. And then and then in this case, I know I've said it before. It's no secret. Melanie Wiggins was stabbed. So there's that. And it's just a sad case to be stabbed and dumped, and two locations. That's news to me too. I learn something every time you come on this show. So
that's really a good thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
and for sharing that information, Mr. Gamble. Like I said, a very well respected man in the area. And hopefully y'all can get something done on that. The Melanie Wiggins case is a sad case. I've got a few family members that every once in a while ask me what's going on, and hopefully we can do something. When you come back next month, maybe you can bring me some more sex offenders.
Okay. And next month I'll be on vacation.
You'll be on vacation.
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. I'm going on vacation too.
All right.
So maybe you can get we can get Lieutenant Muse on here.
All right, I'll talk to him.
All right. Did I get his rank right? He ain't got a
Yes,
promotion
sir.
lately.
He's a lieutenant. Yes,
Lieutenant
sir.
Muse. All right. So, Sergeant, thank you very much for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be back in a minute, folks.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Being ready.
Yeah, she always asks me if I'm ready.
She does ask,
What if
are we ready?
All right, folks, welcome back to the K-Files. Sandra has rejoined the program.
I have.
We were talking about during the break how great Sergeant Tinder is.
Oh, he is. I really like him a lot.
I wish a lot more law enforcement was like him.
Yes.
To be honest with you. All right.
We have to watch out. Jeff Sherrod's going to get jealous.
Well, no, Jeff.
Because we talk so good about him. Now we're
Jeff
talking
is
about
great
somebody
too.
else.
Jeff is great too. Now this isn't rank and file I'm talking about. I'm talking about administrators, chiefs, and sheriffs. I learned a long time ago that there's two types. Both can be effective, right? There's the administrator that is a detective and gets involved in every case and all that stuff. And then there's the chief or the sheriff who's an administrator and delegates the authority and is really good with budgets and does all that top level stuff. So and either one of them can be very effective if they know what they're doing.
That's true.
So it just depends on what kind of, I guess it's true about life, right?
Yeah,
different people run the show differently.
It is.
But I meant what I said about Sheriff Atkinson though. He when we first talked, he had already known, I guess through just my work at the Telegram and through the grapevine, that how interested I am in unsolved murders, and he said that we're going to do that, and he's made his people available to me. Absolutely has. It's been good. All right, so we have been kind of celebrating our 1-year anniversary for the last several weeks in different ways. We've done recaps, we've done updates, we've done different things. Robbie is working on a new introduction for us for the new year, for a new year. And one of the questions that I get asked the most, I know like my kids, they say the best part of the show is the introduction. I don't know if that's I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. But the biggest question I get asked all the time is, what's with all those pictures in the introduction? Where do they come from? Did we make those up? Where? So I thought that since we've only got a week or so left of that original introduction, I would go through and we could have a little bit of fun explaining what all those pictures are, because people won't see them again.
They're definitely victims.
Yeah, we'll move through that to the new introduction. Robbie asked me for some new pictures. I gave him some updated pictures, but how the introduction came about when we were talking about doing the show. Me and you have been talking about doing this since I think the first time we ever met. But when we started getting serious about it last year, Robbie said that he would put tell folks who Robbie is. They not knowing who I'm talking about.
Robbie is our production manager here at WHIG. He is also my son-in-law. I have to throw that in. But he is the production manager here, and has a very creative mind and does some good things.
His documentary on opioid addiction was amazing. All right, so he said, hey, give me some pictures. I'm going to do an introduction for you. So I gave him about 20 pictures, and he picked around a dozen of them out. And so I didn't know what pictures, I didn't know what he was going to use.
I didn't know y'all were even doing it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
He did a really good job with it. So I thought that, like I said, we've got maybe a week or two left of this old introduction, so I would tell people what these pictures are.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to the new ones.
Okay.
So number one is a case Mr. Butler, and again, that's Carl Butler.
Carl Butler.
I didn't know when I gave him these pictures. I just gave him a bunch of pictures. I did not know which ones were going to be used.
Which ones he was going to pick out.
Right, and Mr. Butler's right over the back of your shoulder there. He's been there ever since. Mr. Butler left his home on Marley Drive at 5 a.m. in February of 2005. And he was last seen at 6 a.m. by an off-duty police officer at Meadowbrook and Vernon Roads, right? So he had a serious medical condition and a lot of medical problems, but he also had an outstanding warrant for his arrest when he disappeared. So when we ran Mr. Butler's information on the very first show.
We did.
More than a year ago, been a year and a couple weeks ago. And the intention that I had was that we were going to I was going to kind of show people how I work on missing persons cases, and we were going to follow that case as it went. But all that changed because law enforcement can't agree on what happened to Mr. Butler. Some of them think that he. I had one law enforcement officer tell me that they're going to find his bones over in that neighborhood one day.
Wow.
Right? I've had other law enforcement people tell me that he ran off to. He ran out of state. Yeah, exactly. That he's fled the state. So we don't know. I don't know whether I don't know whether he's over there, dead since the day he went missing.
Right.
I don't know if he ran off with family and they've protected him, and he's since died. Because he had very, very serious medical conditions.
Right.
So it's doubtful. Even if he didn't die when he disappeared, it's doubtful that he's alive now.
Right.
So Mr. Butler's out there somewhere, So that picture, and again, that was happenstance that he ended up featured back here, and that he ended up the first picture on the show. So that first scene when the introduction starts is Mr. Butler and an old news article that I fished up of him. Okay, so this second picture is a meth lab that I didn't take that picture. That picture was issued in a press release from the Nash County Sheriff's Office. It's a SBI agent, I believe, working a meth lab, one of the biggest meth lab in Nash County history a couple years ago. And I just picked that picture because I think it's a pretty cool picture. That's the whole deal there. Kind of like a Breaking Bad picture is what made me think of. All right, so number 3 is picture. That's packets of heroin, right? And those hands, that is Deputy Shelby Smith, who we talked about recently on this show. She's the one who shot the guy up on the highway that had shot her partner, and she saved his life by shooting the guy that shot him. I did a ride-along with the sheriff's office a couple of years ago. I was writing a lot about Gold Rock and all the crime out there. Gold Rock was...
I remember that. You wrote some really good stuff about that.
It was crawling with crime back then. They've cleaned it up a lot. They've torn down some of the old hotels.
Not enough, but
right, not enough. But, I tagged along with the narcotics guys all day, for hours, and they were following this guy that was dealing in allegedly dealing in Gold Rock and all that.
I remember that.
And they pulled him over, and he had hidden those packets of heroin. He had hid them in the car seat, one of his child's car seats. So they searched the car, they found the drugs there, and I don't know the disposition of that case. We're presumed innocent until we're guilty. But I was there. I saw it I had a discussion with my editor that day. I said, well, I saw them take the drugs out of the car seat. So there's no doubt about what happened there. This next picture that's the Onslow County Sheriff's Office digging up a woman from the backyard. That's one of the first biggest cases that I ever worked on. Maria Lauterbach was a Marine who went missing back in 2007, and turned out that her boyfriend, another Marine, a married Marine, they got into an argument, and the problem was that she was pregnant, and in the Marine Corps, even today, they've got this whole thing about, conduct unbecoming and all that of a Marine. So he was married. All of them are Marines. His wife was Marine. She was a Marine. He was a Marine. If the baby was, when the baby was born and it was proven to be his, she'd accused him of rape, but not a lot of people believe that part of it. But if the baby was his, he was going to be in trouble anyway for just having a baby out of wedlock like that. So he killed her to prevent that from ever happening. And the sad part of that whole case was the baby wasn't his, it was somebody else's. So he killed her for no reason and buried her in the backyard, and she was back there for a few months before they finally figured it all out. This next picture, this scary dude right here is me. Brittany, show me number 5. There we go. Again, just random pictures that I sent to Robbie. This is upstairs. That was upstairs in the old Tarboro Weekly office when I was working working for them years ago. A lot of wasted in these old towns. I live in Spring Hope. A lot of wasted space in these old offices.
These old buildings. Yeah.
All right. That newspaper's gone now. COVID killed that newspaper, and I realize I said the key word for this one. Put that back up there, Brittany, for a second. These 2 guys killed and robbed a man, and then they fled to Mexico. They were Mexican nationals. So, that was, I wrote this case. I was writing freelance. In between newspaper jobs, I was writing freelance murder stories. I don't know if they're ever going to catch those 2 fellas. That was down in Pender County. They're long gone, That's sad. This woman right here was, she was a drug dealer who.
Wow. She doesn't really look like a drug dealer.
Well, I mean, that's probably some of the most effective ones. She dealt a lot of heroin and Oxycontin and all that before people, now everybody talks about the opioid crisis and all this.
Yeah.
This was almost 20 years ago. She was convicted of death by drug distribution. So in other words, some of the drugs that she was selling was laced probably with fentanyl or mixed, whatever. But a couple people died, and so they convicted her of that. That was her on their way out of the courtroom to prison for a while. This is Dylan West. He's another case we talked about on the first episode.
I remember that case, definitely.
Yeah, he's the Fort Bragg soldier who disappeared a couple days before he was due to be honorably discharged. And still to this day, we're the only people who have ever talked about that. It's never been in any newspaper. It's never been in any television show that I can find. I mean, I need to make that caveat. Maybe there's something out there that I can't find. But, he was, from what I can tell, he was from Georgia, but yet his car was found out in, way out west somewhere. So, this is Karen Boster right here with, this is news footage of video surveillance of her at Food Line moments before she disappeared. This is in Elizabeth City. Her case is I've written about that a lot over the years. She disappeared. A friend of hers or an associate of hers was found with her debit card and charged with that, and I believe convicted of having her debit card, but they never did get to the finish line of proving that he killed her because she's still missing. But that's probably what happened there. This right here is the Fox News coverage of that story of the Marine that put his girlfriend in the backyard. That's their house there in Jacksonville. And then finally, here's the K-Files logo that my son, who lives in Chicago, is a really talented graphic artist. He does all the stuff. He really is.
That was a really good.
Yeah, and the whole K-Files idea started at the Telegram where I worked there for 5 years, and I wrote I think a dozen. I wrote a lot of unsolved murder stories, but a dozen of them specifically under that K-Files logo, and it's I've been doing this 20-something years. I've been writing about unsolved murders almost as long as I've been a reporter. I've had some successes in some cases. Some cases just seem like there's just no hope. But you don't know, and it's like I told.
But it's always exciting when you get somebody a tip and it's solved. That it's
like with the unidentified.
Exciting.
With the unidentified stuff, we're going to be talking about one of them in a minute. To me, one of the accomplishments is just to get the information out. I feel like that's a level of it, which we've done here for a year on this show. We have talked about a lot of cases, told a lot of stories about things that isn't always people don't always want to talk about it. You know, we've talked about a lot of cases that some people would just prefer would go away. And I think one of the biggest accomplishments is simply just to get them into the public, you know, because a lot of these cases aren't being publicized very much. So I feel like that's what we do here, is we talk about cases that not everybody wants to talk about.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
somebody
absolutely
needs to talk about it.
Absolutely. So that is the, if you ever wondered what any of those pictures meant on the introduction, that's where they all come from. And hopefully we will have a new introduction here in the next couple weeks. So I just wanted to do that, and we will be back in just a moment, right?
We will be right after this.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.